Hey guys, it's Jedi Joey. How are you guys doing? So we just finished watching, if you came to the watch party, I just finally got to watch Crisis on Infinite Earths, Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2. Now if you guys watched the Arrowverse Crisis, I was a huge fan of this storyline. I remember reading the comic. This is one of those comic movies where, with like Infinity War and Endgame for Marvel, it's like it's got elements of the comics, but it's its own thing, and it's based on like all these really cool elements of like there's storytelling in it, but it's like this is like a super comic booky movie, and it is filled with cameos as the first one was. But this one has even better cameos, and these cameos are not just here to look pretty and be like, oh look, I know who that character is. It is kind of like that. It has that Where's Waldo effect, but also some of these characters you see play meaningful roles in the story, and it really is cool. So I loved part one, and this we pick up immediately where part one left off. We see Supergirl struggling. We basically see Jensen Ackles returns to voice Batman, and we're now on a different Earth after what happened with all the other characters disappearing. And we see Batman. This movie actually starts out with our Jensen Ackles Batman on a different Earth, facing off with Joker, and it's actually tricked where he thinks he's fighting Joker, but it's actually Commissioner Gordon. And it's like another Earth version of Commissioner Gordon. And then you have Joker, the real Joker appears, voiced by Troy Baker from the Arkham Asylum game, which I thought was pretty cool. And then you had Joker had recruited Killer Croc and Grundy. So it was cool. But also, not only was Batman started off fighting these villains alone, getting awesome martial arts stuff, using all his tricks in his utility belt, smoke bombs, batarangs. But then he's joined by, on this Earth, Huntress is a member of the Bat family, and you have Tim Drake Robin alongside Damian Wayne, Bruce's son, and Batgirl, and even Batman Beyond. And this was super cool because you got to see all these characters work together and team up, and even though from different Earths. And throughout the movie, this movie is different than part one, where the first movie part I felt was all action. This movie there's action, but it's built up. The story is very thematically played out, where you feel they took time for us to get to know a certain character, being that of Psycho Pirate. And so Psycho Pirate actually ended up being this great character where we saw they didn't utilize him well in the Arrowverse Crisis, but here they did a much better job where you got to see him realize what he really is. And when you saw him, he actually ended up being a beast. And here they explored his trauma. I loved how they tied him. He's a big fan of Treasure Island. They connected him to Blackbeard. They connected him to Long John Silver. And throughout the movie, he makes references of his pirate history. So they finally explained the whole Psycho Pirate thing. Also, there's some. I love how the Monitor in this movie, the voice actor really makes the Monitor sound like Josh Brolin's Thanos, which I think is super cool. I love that. I loved where they went with that. I thought they crushed it in the biggest way possible. I really loved how all the characters were done. I'm just going to say this right off the bat, okay? Meg Dolly, who was on the Zombies show on Disney Channel. I'm going to just say this real quick, straight to the point. I know that people love House of the Dragon. I'm sure Millie Alcock will be a great Supergirl. But watching this movie of her performance as Supergirl, I trust you, James Gunn. I really do. But if you don't cast her as at least Power Girl, the other compartment to Supergirl, you and I are going to have a problem. Like, you and I are going to have a conversation. And you won't like it. Look, I trust your vision, but I'm just throwing you a bone right now. I want you to be successful. So listen to me. They call me Jedi Joey because of one reason. You will cast her as Power Girl. Yes, I know how to do mind tricks. And I know they say that mind tricks only work on the weak-minded. In this situation, James Gunn, I don't know what you were thinking with Millie Alcock, but if I were you, I would have casted her as Supergirl. I would have cast Meg Dolly. Because she's phenomenal in this movie. I know it's voice acting. This Crisis movie, you could argue that in terms of cliffhangers and stuff, I know Sony Animation does some great work, I think you could say that this movie could stand up to the Spider-Verse movies. I mean, what they achieve here is brilliant storytelling, great characterization. You feel emotions. These cameras that show up are great. We get to see Matt Ryan from the actual Constantine show and Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow reprise his role in animation as John Constantine, which is great. There's Dr. Fate in here. You got the Spectre, great sweaty comic book characters, and Star Wars. Since I am a Star Wars predominantly YouTube channel and a Star Wars fan, I got to tell you something super excited, guys. Matt Lanter, who voices Anakin Skywalker in Clone Wars, drum roll, get ready. He voices Blue Beetle, just like it was on my shirt in this movie, and it's fantastic. Also, my boy GA is in this movie, and if you love GA, I got a big GA video for you guys coming out tomorrow where I might do a fan casting for him that I think you guys are going to lose your mind about. But we'll talk about that later. But overall, the voice acting for him was even awesome. Green Arrow's in here. There's a scene where all the Arrowverse, where all the heroes of the Justice League are standing side by side fighting these shadow demons. It was amazing. Like Ryan Reynolds says, this movie, even though it's animated, this is cinema. Like, they should have put this in the theater. I would have watched this. It has Infinity War vibes. It's got some Endgame in there. There's a scene where all these heroes, even Peacemaker, like I mentioned, the World's Waldo effect, Hawk and Dove from Titans, they're all standing side by side each other. And it's kind of like, oh, you can find all these cool characters all teamed up showing the seriousness of it. And we love Part 2 so much, guys. We watched the trailer for Part 3. And while I am going to give Part 2 a really good review, I will tell you that Part 3 is going to be even better. And one thing I loved about this movie, this also not normally has a bit of Infinity War in it, but when some of the heroes get brainwashed, there's a bit of actual Civil War in here as well, where you see the Bat family end up fighting Bruce, and Bruce gets tag teamed by both Batman Beyond, and also Tim Drake, Robin. I mean, they were trying to Miguel him to Kenny, man. They tried to flying sidekick him, but he's Batman. He's not going to let that happen. So he was literally like, "Oh, I'm not going to sit here and take like a little bitch. I'm going to kick the living shit out of my family from another planet," because that's what was literally going on, man. Like, it was cool how they were all fighting each other. Didn't think I'd get to see Huntress and Batgirl teaming up, seeing how that was cool. All of them fighting side by side and then against each other was awesome. Also, Wonder Woman in this movie. Look, I love the Fast and the Furious movies. I think Gal Gadot's a great actor. I enjoyed the first Wonder Woman movie. I enjoyed her work in the Snyder movies. Zack Snyder does not know how to cast Wonder Woman. We have been robbed of a Wonder Woman that we deserve a new Wonder Woman. And I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm going to throw something wild out here, and I think my fiance will probably agree with this take. I think, if you guys have seen Furiosa, I think Furiosa's mom could be the perfect new Wonder Woman. I think that she has everything that, like, you remember in the movie how she had the main sniping skills, and like she's such a badass, and like she had like super good fighting moves, and like I don't know, she stood out interesting to me. And there's probably other characters I can think of too, but yeah, overall I think this movie's really great. Every character in this movie, despite its runtime, this movie's only an hour and 34 minutes, and everybody gets time to shine. The movie has time to breathe. It's very thematic in terms of like the writing of the characters and getting to see you get a lot of backstory. Like, part one was all setup. This was all backstory and then built to the conclusion. And you thought the cliffhanger in the first movie was good? Oh, you haven't seen anything. One of my other things is in the Arrowverse, they did a decent budget to make the Anti-Monitor look intimidating, but he just kind of looked like they took the costume of Apocalypse from the X-Men and like made his face like white, like the pale orc from Lord of the Rings. Where here, they made him a towering, like, Galactus Anti-Monitor is bad to the bone, man. So overall, guys, I loved this movie. Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2, easily a 9 out of 10 for me. Let me know what you thought about Crisis. Just because I enjoyed Crisis doesn't mean you did. Maybe you did. What was your favorite cameo in this movie, and why? And what do you want to see in Part 3? Let me know your thoughts. And remember, as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like, share, and subscribe. And my name is Jedi Joey, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.
Woo!